Happy podcast day, Falcon Paladin.
Hello, Somicron. Happy podcast day to you as well.
Thank you kindly.
Quite. Yes, we are discussing the influence of Coca Cola and McDonald's on the world at large before the podcast started. And we determined that, according to anecdotal evidence, Coca Cola has a more stranglehold on the world at large than McDonald's does.
Yeah, things that do not surprise me in the slightest.
Correct.
I mean, I guess it's easier to ship a stack of cans of Coke anywhere in the world than it is to build a restaurant.
Oh,
So,
100%. And like get ingredients there and make sure they're cooked consistently within the brand. And like, yeah, certainly. Because, yeah, you can totally just have a Coke packing plant in South Africa and ship it to Madagascar and bam, job done.
yeah.
But totally, to run a restaurant in Madagascar require training and local supplies to a certain extent. And like,
Yeah.
that's a lot more work, a lot tougher to do. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
Anywho,
I want Coke
yeah.
now.
Coke Zero Cherry's back in stock at my local Walmart, so that's
Ooh,
nice.
good
It was
for
like 2
you.
months they didn't have any, and I was like,
Really?
"Oh, this does not bode well for the future of this product." But it's back, so I'm happy now.
They didn't change the recipe at all in those 2 months. It was like it was gone, and now it's back because they're using real cherries this time.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be the day they use real cherries for cherry Coke.
You can get tequila. It's got like a little scorpion in the bottle. Why not Coke with little cherries down the bottom? Like why not?
Because again, when you're an international conglomerate, upping the cost of one thing you produce is introducing like $2 billion into your cost for the thing for the year,
You
right?
can just do it for a select market.
Yes, you could. You could be like, man, the Salt Lake City area sure buys a lot more Cherry Coke Zero than anywhere else. Let's try this actual cherry inside the can and see if they like it. You are correct. They can do that.
They could totally do that as a promotion. Charge you twice as much.
I would try it. I would. And I might like it. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
can also buy my own cherries and drop them in a can of Coke and see what happens. So,
I dare you to just buy some regular Diet Coke and some cherries and like get in the lab and like how do you do it? Like make a
yeah, because you couldn't just drop the cherry in because like
No.
the flavor doesn't exude from a cherry.
No, you
You'd
could
have to like mash it up.
you could turn it into a syrup. All sorts of options. Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
syrups take a
Like,
little longer. You gotta like bury them in sugar and leave them for like 6 weeks in the fridge. Yeah.
right. I think that's doable. I think I could try that.
Okay. Well,
Anywho, good stuff. In other news, computer issues at the Falcon Paladin house.
oh,
So my boy wanted a gaming PC because he's got this stupid regular, PC for like homework that he got a couple years ago for school, and he's trying to play, Steam games on it. And yeah, you can technically play Steam games on it, but the experience sucks. And he's a big Risk of Rain 2 fan, and he's trying to play Risk of Rain 2, and he's got the graphics like all the way down to the lowest, and it's still crashing on him twice a day, and he's like, this sucks. So he's like, all right, I'll go half on you with a gaming PC. And I'm like, all right, because we have a deal in this family. Like, you've got 2 times where dad will go in half on you for like a Switch or a bike or something to a certain level.
right. It's you're not gonna go half in a house.
Right. Or like a car. Like, that's not happening.
No.
No. So anyway, so that was like, all right, this is your thing. And he's like, okay. So we got all the parts, shipped them here. We did the PC build together. It was really fun. He learned a lot. And like we get it all put together and we power it on and there's no video. Nothing. Not an error.
Does the board light up?
Nothing. The board lights up. All the fans are spinning. The GPU fans are spinning. The fans on the CPU heatsink are spinning. The case fans are spinning. Like everything's got power. It's glorious. But no video. Onboard video, no video. GPU video, no video.
Oh.
No beeps. And I can't find anywhere on this stupid case where there's a beeper.
No?
Like PC speaker beep for like, it's a beep I posted, right? Or 3 beeps, something's wrong, I can't find anywhere where it's supposed to beep. So it's not beeping. And I'm like, well, That's usually a problem, but I don't know if this case beeps. So that was confusing. So anyway, we spent the whole stupid week isolating every component in the PC and making sure that they were good. And we did, and everything was good. And we put a known good CPU onto the motherboard, and known good RAM, and known good power supply, and still nothing except for lighting up the board and spinning the fans. It's like, So we decided it's the motherboard, and I sent it back to Amazon, and they're going to send me another one, and we'll see. But man, it was a giant pain in the butt last week.
Yeah,
I've never seen a busted motherboard, let alone out of the box. Brand new.
Bad luck. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Super bad luck. Yeah.
But that does sound like every PC building experience I've ever had. Literally
something goes bad.
Something goes bad.
Yeah.
My first time I built a computer back when I was like living with my dad. My housemate came up, helped me build a table to put it on, which is an IKEA thing. So that was like 6 screws. And it was not a whole lot to it. But then the PC, we were up to like 2:00 in the morning, putting this thing into a case, turning it on, won't turn on, pulling it back out, trying to like breadboard it.
Won't power on?
And it wouldn't put output like yours. I don't remember how we fixed it, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just wasn't working. Period.
Wasn't working.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare. Eventually, we got it working, and I had that case, not that entire computer, for like 8 years.
Dang.
Yeah. I moved into this house with that case, and that thing was huge, right? Like, I have my one now, and I'm like, man, that's a big computer. And then I remembered putting that one next to the other one. The other one was like a foot taller than it. It was like, it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge case.
Yeah.
Way too big. Like, stupidly heavy. Computer should not be that big. Even though graphics cards are now like twice the size of they were then.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Graphics cards are long now. You need a big case anymore.
Yeah. But even building this one, it was a nightmare trying to get it to like, what was it? It was something to do with the memory, and like the way the BIOS wanted to configure memory just wasn't working. And it's like, we couldn't get it into RAID or something like that, or we would put it in RAID, but it wouldn't boot from it. And it's just a nightmare every single time.
Yeah.
Every time.
So, yep. That's computer building. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry that's your experience, I will say. But I've had a couple builds in my life that have just been smooth as butter. So
no, it doesn't happen.
It is possible, is what I'm saying. It can happen every once in a while.
So I don't know what VMD is. I think it's it's something to do with the raid setups and stuff like that. And I remember this because I named my the raid that eventually worked fuck VMD. So if you open up a file browser, it's like, here's your pictures, your documents, your local disk C, and then fuck VMD. And
so you don't remember what it is, but you were really mad at it once upon a time.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So then this morning, I come into my office and turn on the computer, and it goes, disk read error. And I'm like, what was happening? Did the protective wards around my house to calm the machine spirit fade?
Gotta like the sacred unguents.
Right.
No.
And I can't get it to boot into the BIOS. It's delete for my computer to get into BIOS, and I hit delete. Goes to disk read error, and I'm like, that's not what's supposed to happen. So during the whole splash screen for the BIOS, I go delete, 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 delete. Then it goes BIOS. I'm like, why do I have to hit it 47 times?
I would just like to say that you've just reminded me of another issue, which is when we plug in all of my monitors and went to turn the computer on, and we're like, all right, we need to get another BIOS. I think it's F12 for mine, and it's like mash on the vertical monitor. Horizontally. So we're going to work at it like this. God, thanks for reminding me of that.
Well, that's why you unplug the vertical monitor before you do that stuff. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the setup it was hard to get in there. It's like you'd have to pull a whole bunch of stuff out. Not a lot of space in here.
Fair enough. So anyway, I'm like, did my SSD fail? That sucks. What bad timing this is. I have jobs to apply to. So I get into the BIOS and I'm looking at it and everything seems okay. And I look at the boot order and it's like trying to boot from WDC. And I'm like, that sounds more like one of my spinny data disks than my SSD from Samsung. So yeah, I go in the list and it's like my SSD's third on the list now. And I'm like, what? What? Okay. So yeah, it's trying to boot off a disk that doesn't have any Windows on it, doesn't have anything close to an OS, which it outputs as disk read error instead of there's not an OS here, man. Whatever.
I have a very similar issue every now and then, which is there are a bunch of objects I plug into my computer to charge them, like my wireless microphone here. I plug it in, but it's capable of independent recording. I don't need to plug this into a computer to record something, so it has a memory card on it. If I leave it plugged in and try to turn my PC on, it tries to boot from it.
See, but you should be able to go into the BIOS because I just changed the order in the BIOS. Please try the SSD first, and it's been fine. You should be able to do that. Go into the BIOS and be like, put this at the bottom of the list. Never try to boot off this thing.
I could, or I could just unplug it and it goes, oh, that's not a thing anymore. Cool.
Yeah. No longer try to boot off it because it doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
That solved my problem.
Excellent. Yeah, so I don't know. I've had this PC for, God, I built this in right before Cyberpunk came out. So like 2021.
Did Cyberpunk come out in 2021?
I think it did.
That feels like a 2016 game to me.
What? 2016?
It's obviously not. It's not. I'm saying it feels like
2020, December 10th, 2020.
Okay. So it's almost 4 years old.
Right, it's almost 4 years old, and never once has the boot order been confused by anything, and I do not know how that happened.
Well, I mean, not in 4 years have you pulled apart almost every part of it and tried it with something else.
That's true. That's true. I did take it out and tested the RAM and the CPU, and it was the kitchen table was a nightmare for a couple days. It's like, we're having dinner at the counter today, kids. The kitchen table is used for computer stuff for some reason.
I'm surprised you left all that stuff out with the cats. They didn't like come up and put their paws in a CPU.
They don't care about it.
Really?
Yeah, they don't get on the table at all, number one.
Oh.
And number two, because we were worried about that. But we just kept an eye on them and they were like, meh. They do like to kind of like gnaw at the cords for the PlayStation 5.
Right.
But that's because those are like ground level, I think, right? And I mean, that's like a and a squirt with the water bottle. But yeah, I was kind of worried about it, but they were fine with it.
Okay. The cats don't jump up on tables, like at all?
We were really good when they were young about like, no, off the counter, no, off the table every time they got on. And so at this point, they're like, might as well not even try anymore.
We were like that, but it's like they're home alone a bunch. It's like we can't stop them when we're not there.
Right, but I'm home all the time, so...
Yeah, but you're in that office working presumably a bunch.
Okay, fine. Like, I'm coming out to get food or get a Coke Zero or use the bathroom. And every time I come out of the office, they're not on the counter or... So either they're on there all the time and they hear me open my office door and they go, ah!
It's possible.
Or they're not getting on there. Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, they're not perfect kitties because holy smokes, do they like chewing on PlayStation 5 power cords. Bleh. Anyway, that's it. Computer problems hopefully will be fixed soon. All right, what do we got to talk about today? We did watch Beetlejuice.
We did. We watched the Beetlejuice.
Do we want to talk about the Beetlejuice?
Sure, let's talk about Beetlejuice.
So, I watched probably not the whole movie when I was like 7 years old.
Okay, yeah. I've definitely seen some of it myself, but do not remember watching all of it.
Yes. Yeah. Because, I don't know, like I have these aunts and uncles who are pretty close to my age. And we'd go to my grandma and grandpa's house for something, and like they'd be, you know, watching movies or whatever, and just like plop down with him and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'd be wildly terrifying to a 7-year-old like me. So I remember being scared of Beetlejuice,
Right.
but I could not tell you what the plot of that show was at all.
No.
Like we get into it, and I'm like, oh, it's young Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. Wow.
That's a.
Okay.
I was like, holy crap, that's Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I know, right? He's like 20 years old or something. He's a baby.
Yeah.
And then they die, and I'm like, I don't remember that. And then they're ghosts, and I'm like, what is happening right now? So my experience with the movie was basically like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but certain scenes were like, ah, yes, that I remember that. And then 20 minutes later, be like, I remember that. But for the most part, it was basically a new experience with a little bit of like, my brain remembers some of this, which is a weird way to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very similar. Like, I know I kind of saw bits and pieces when it was on TV or something.
Yeah.
But this felt like an entirely new experience for me. I couldn't have told you that. Oh, I definitely remember this scene.
Okay.
What
Yeah,
I
so you're
can tell,
more-
what I can tell you is, I'm not sure that I like Tim Burton.
Right. I was gonna say that. So like Tim Burton, he's a vibe, right?
Sure.
Tim Burton's a vibe guy. He's like he wants to be off kilter and creepy and kind of scary and have practical effects and tons of makeup work. And like it's just a off kilter experience the whole time.
Right.
Plot doesn't matter as much. But if
No,
you
not
go into my
totally.
movie and feel like it's a Tim Burton movie, then mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on. Because like Edward Scissorhands is the exact same thing.
Another movie I know I've seen. Couldn't tell you a single scene from it. And
Yeah.
I've got his filmography up, right? And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, it's what?
it's big. It's bigger than I think people think it is.
Maybe, but it's also not huge. It's only about 20 films by the look of it off the top of my head.
I think it's probably more than people would think. Anyway, 20
Maybe,
films. Go ahead.
maybe.
Mhm.
Mars Attacks scared
I
the
didn't
crap
know.
out of me when I
I
was a
did
kid.
not know that was a Tim Burton film.
That is a Tim Burton film.
That's crazy.
He directed it, produced it, and is uncredited as the story writer, but apparently he is.
Oh.
So that's interesting.
Well, and what's interesting is Mars Attacks is like spectacle, right? It's like kind of like action set piecey, at least for the second half.
I will not watch that again to prove you right. Like, it scared the
Right.
bejesus out of me as a kid. I'm not going near it.
Yeah, nope, that's fair. But I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, a lot of it is there's just a lot of stuff happening on screen. Mars is attacking, as the movie title would imply. And I don't think none of the early Tim Burton stuff has anything like that. Tim Burton movies are always pretty intimate, pretty small casts, pretty human stories.
I mean, okay, so hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mars Attack is his 7th feature film.
Okay. So what did he do before that?
His first movie was Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Right.
then Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
then Batman.
Is Batman Spectacle?
It's closer
It's
to
his Batman Spectacle.
Oh, which one is his? I know I've seen this.
I think it's Michael Keaton.
It is Michael
his-
Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Yeah. as the
Yeah.
Joker.
So yes. So his Batman is the Joker in like the New York City Met Museum playing Prince and spray painting on paintings and statues and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's Edward Scissorhands,
Right.
Batman Returns. That's the one with the
Penguin.
penguin. Yeah.
Danny DeVito
Yep.
and Catwoman.
And
is in that
Catwoman.
one.
Yep, she's definitely in
Yeah.
that on the cover.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
That one, I think he wrote but didn't direct.
That is correct. He did not direct
Okay.
that movie, but he did write and produce it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it feels very much like a Tim Burton directed movie, but
Right.
no, it was like it's a stop animation guy who Harry something.
Henry Selick.
Henry Selick. Okay,
You're
yeah.
close. You're close.
Yeah. What else did he do?
Henry Selick.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. James and the Giant Peach, Monkey Bone, Coraline. He did Coraline. That's what I probably
Yeah.
know.
So he's like a stop action guy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wow. I listed all of his movies but one,
Ah,
which is Wendell and Wild, which I've never heard of.
never heard of it. Coraline's good.
Coraline's really good. It was in cinemas like 2 weeks ago for its like 15-year anniversary.
Oh, nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coraline's a Neil Gaiman story that was adapted to stop motion
Okay.
by the
Believe it.
guy who did Nightmare Before Christmas. So yeah, Coraline's good. Coraline, I think it maybe crosses over into the line of like legitimately kind of scary, as opposed to Nightmare Before Christmas, which is like kind of spooky and like generally okay, for
Right.
kids.
Yeah.
I think Coraline, there's stuff in there that's like, okay, we are serious business here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I believe it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I would say Tim Burton mostly. See, I think what happened there was he got a bunch of successful movies off the ground, and then Hollywood was like, "Come direct this big budget, huge spectacle movie." The cast of Mars Attacks is insane.
Is it?
Did you? Here, I need to look at it. There's like 20 people in there that you know.
Oh yeah, Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Pierce Brosnan,
Danny DeVito,
Martin
Annette
Short,
Bening,
yeah, Michael J. Fox, Sarah Jessica
Pierce
Parker,
Brosnan,
Tom Jones,
Natalie Portman's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin Short. So so this was like a massive deal in 1996.
Yeah.
And they're like, Tim Burton, you're a successful director. Come direct this film. And he's like, oh, okay.
But the budget was $80 to $100 million. It box officed $101 million.
Yeah. So it didn't go well.
No.
Because Tim Burton does Tim Burton movies. He's better at that. He's not going to direct your next Indiana Jones or your Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. So what did he go after that? What did he go back to?
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. Big
That's
Fish.
Interesting. Yeah. Human Story.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the remake with Johnny Depp.
Oh, the Johnny Depp Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not the Timothée Chalamet one.
No. God.
Okay.
Yeah. Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
Just probably possibly the only movie I do enjoy on this list, which is Sweeney Todd, the Demon of Barber of Fleet Street.
Ah, the movie adaptation of the sequel, of the musical, rather.
Yes.
That's the word. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I like that movie. He did Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows,
What the heck is Dark Shadows?
It's another Johnny Depp movie. It is a film based on the Gothic television soap opera of the same name.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Big Eyes, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Okay, that's a book adaptation.
Dumbo.
Yeah. See, Dumbo's another one where I don't know if that's in Burton's wheelhouse.
No. Yeah. And then Beetlejuice. That's all of them. Yep. He does have another one listed as TBA, which is Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Okay. So old-time cinema remade in 2024. Old horror, kind of.
Old
Attack of the
horror
50-Foot
or
Woman
is new fetish. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is kind of like a monster movie, but also not really.
No.
That's interesting.
We should go and watch
still working.
that.
Yeah.
It is only 66 minutes long.
Oh, I mean, that's a win. Where the heck is that streaming?
Oh, absolutely no idea.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, it really does seem like he's got his own wheelhouse that he kind of stick in. I think Dumbo was a disaster from what I've heard about it.
Yes.
So yeah, whenever Hollywood's like, hey, come direct our huge movie, like Disney comes and throws money at him, or Fox comes and throws money at him and says, do this big thing, it doesn't work. So yeah, so back to Beetlejuice. I don't know. Like the plot is kind of like two people living in a house. They die. They end up haunting the house.
Mm-hmm.
This new family moves in. The ghosts want them out.
Mm-hmm.
They end up contracting some outcast spirit dude named Beetlejuice to help them.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to help them, but like the people who have moved in the house are super into the occult and they love this stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I just
they're not super into the occult. The couple that dies try to do something scary where they like semi-possess them and make them dance and sing, and they're like, "Great, we could turn this into a theme park." Um,
right, which is one hell of a response to that. Like, just immediately into the Capitol. That was crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and then at the end of the day, Beetlejuice is recruited by the daughter to save the ghosts who are being killed again, maybe. And then they banish him, and then everybody figures out a way to live happily after in the house together at the end. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard. It is hard to nail down exactly what happens in this film because it's a vibe.
Uh-huh. It definitely has a beginning, middle, and end, right? Like
Yeah.
it has three arcs. Well, three sections, right?
Yep.
Um, I just I don't get like why this movie would have a sequel,
Right.
or why
I
anyone
really.
would even the vibe is not for me. The vibe is not for me.
Right. Me neither.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always hard for me too in a movie is very much like, look what we can do with effects. Like, check this out. Look at this monster makeup. Look at what we can do with this person's head. Check this character out. They've got a gaping hole in their neck. How did we do that? And it's like, okay, there's a little bit too much of that going on.
Right.
Like, it doesn't feel organic to the storytelling a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it wasn't impressive. I think a lot of it was impressive and kind of fun.
I think I would have been more impressed with it in 1988 than I am now.
Totally, 100%. But I mean, no, like, even today, no one's doing this many practical effects in a movie. Nobody's even trying it.
No, because it
Right.
wouldn't look as good.
Right. Yeah, they'd CGI it. So, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, it's Michael Keaton is playing Beetlejuice. Like, what? Beetlejuice is a completely out there character.
Uh-huh.
Michael Keaton's doing this weird voice with it.
Uh-huh.
He's doing impressions of other stuff. It's like the genie from Aladdin. He's just doing like a
Kind of,
Jack Nicholson impression or like a general New York gangster impression sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's introduced as being like totally this horn dog who's like trying to mac on dead wife number one, and like he's going after young Winona Ryder who's probably like 12. So that's creepy, dude.
He does try to marry her, and
Yeah.
that is the
Climax.
the climax of the movie is him attempting to marry a 12-year-old.
Right.
Boy, this movie deserved a sequel, and especially that character.
I know, but like Michael Keaton was a humongous star. He's gonna be Batman soon. Like, what is he doing
He
in
was
this
already-
role? What did
yeah.
he?
Yeah, he would be Batman soon.
But
He would-
what
he
did
would
he
do
see
Batman
in this
after
role where
this.
he's like, yes, he did.
Like,
But he was
literally
already a
next
big
year.
star. He already had some pretty big hits.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I do not know what Michael Keaton saw in that script, what he was into. So, for the ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a position where our ghosts, our ghost couple, are being summoned by the interior designer slash paranormal enthusiast.
Right.
And by summoning them, their ghosts begin to age and become decrepit.
I think if you listen to the spell he casts from the handbook for the recently deceased, which wouldn't contain a spell like this because it's very
Right.
counterintuitive. He says like that was which was once dead become alive again. So I think he's literally like reanimating their bodies into like their wedding clothes, but their bodies are decomposing and old, right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of stuck aging really fast and dying. It's wibbly wobbly, agey wagey, vibey vibey.
So they're in danger.
They're in
Apparently,
danger, yeah,
these ghosts are in danger
because they
because we
might
do
die
see.
again.
Yeah, we see earlier in the film. There's this whole like bureaucracy in the afterlife, which one of the characters who's alive tells the joke that like if you, what is he? Who's attorneys? Who is it? Murderers? Who does he say dies and becomes civil servants?
Oh,
I forget. I
yeah.
forget who he says.
He has a jerk that it's like,
yeah, it's totally a joke.
I don't remember. It wasn't very
Anyway,
funny.
the point is, yeah, right. The point is that like some people when they die become suicides. Suicides become civil servants in the afterlife. And the movie's like, yep, that's exactly what happens. Because like even the front desk lady who's like Miss Argentina or something,
right? Which is
slit her own wrists.
Really dark.
Yes, there's again Tim Burton movie. There's darkness in this movie. And does it work or not? I don't know, but it's in there. Yeah. So anyway, so they end up going to the the bureaucracy, and one of the doors that they open almost by accident is like this terrible maelstrom of pain and like ghosts, actual spirits floating around, like being terrible. It's like that's what happens if a ghost dies, and it's like, all right, fair enough. Like this movie is not that interested in its own lore or rules or how anything works, because again, it's about the vibes.
It's vibes. It's all vibes.
Yeah. So anywho, so our heroes are in danger, and young Winona Ryder, who's I guess emo enough to actually see the ghosts, whereas her parents cannot. She likes them and she's worried about them, and so she ends up summoning Beetlejuice to help them on the condition that she marries him. But like, she's too young to get married. Also, she can't consent to this because she's like 12.
Depends on what state you live in, Falcon. I recently learned that in Texas.
New York.
No, they're not. They're not in New York. They're in Minnesota.
Connecticut?
I think they said Minnesota. I don't know.
Winter River, Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've heard Minnesota in that movie.
I don't either.
Connecticut.
Winter River, Connecticut.
Wow. Still, the ghost doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't live by mortal laws, surely.
No, you're right. But as a human is bound by mortal laws.
Sure, but not when making metaphysical pacts.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just write into law, don't make deals with the devil.
Which I'm sure is codified somewhere in some state law. If the devil shows up and offers you something, don't do it against the law.
Right. Has to be.
Yeah. So I don't know. So anyway, I guess Beetlejuice keeps his promise, right? Because Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis become their regular ghosty selves again.
He does save them, yeah.
Yeah.
Making him technically the good guy.
I mean... Again, trying to marry a 12-year-old that he met a day ago.
Okay. I don't think she's literally 12. I think she's
14?
14, 15, 16. Like, well, hey, I'm not saying that's any better. Christ, don't give me that look. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, let's look at how old she was. Winona Ryder in Beetlejuice.
17.
Right. She's like 21.
No, she's 17.
16.
16? That was close.
Yeah.
Well,
you're right.
It depends on what year they filmed, not year.
Okay, when the movie released, she was 16, so probably 15 when it was filming.
Possibly, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird and gross.
It is, and I mean, like the motivations of Beetlejuice are just all over the place. Like, it kind of
Yeah.
talks about how he wants to get paid.
Yeah, his introduction is like him looking for like a job in a newspaper and the jobs is like the
The
obituaries.
obituaries.
And
Yeah.
so like he wants something from these people, but he never says.
I think there is a line, I think, where he says, I want to get paid.
Yeah, he does. He's like, I
Like,
need a job.
you guys want to get rid of the humans in your house,
I want to
and
get
I
rid
want to
of.
get paid. So let's work together, right? But how the hell are these ghosts going to pay him? Like, what do they have?
I absolutely no idea.
Right.
Uh, uh,
So, I don't know. So apparently, Beetlejuice getting eaten by a sandworm that exists in some metaphysical realm that we're shown a few times and doesn't really explain what it is.
mm-hmm.
The sandworm busts into the real world with Gina Davis writing it.
Mm-hmm.
It eats Beetlejuice, crashes through the floor, and he ends up banished to the other side and stuck there, I guess.
To the
To the waiting room
to
of
the
the
waiting room.
afterlife bureaucracy.
Yes.
Yeah, which we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Which really takes the tension out of all the times where they tried to leave their own house and like we can't because we're bound to our house.
Yeah,
But it turns out if you go out there and get eaten, you just end up in the waiting room.
I guess. If you get eaten by a sandworm, you end up in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Because you die. I don't know. I don't know. You can't. I don't like. I think if you could talk to Tim Burton about this, he'd be like, "Look, man, like
It
it's
doesn't
just a
matter.
movie."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it worked for me. Like, I don't. I also don't understand. They gave us this happy ending where like Winona Ryder isn't emo anymore. Because she almost got married to Beetlejuice, I guess. That knocked some sense into her.
Like I almost got married to a 50-year-old ghost. Life isn't so bad. Like I
Yeah.
guess I'll stop being goth now.
Right. And Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are just her mom and dad now. Like
Mm-hmm.
her dad and her stepmom want apparently nothing to do with her as far as I can tell. So that's
They
interesting.
they were still in the house. They were just
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of weird because the movie treats it as life affirming that both of them realize they're terrible parents and just take a step back. You know?
Yeah. And
They're
like
both
let the literal ghosts raise their daughter.
let the homemaker ghosts. The ghosts that just want to have their happy little home in the countryside.
Right.
Them being
But
ghosts doesn't exclude them from being good parents, Falcon.
I'm not sure if that's good parents. I mean, they explicitly show us they're not good parents for most of the movie, right?
When?
Uh, Catherine O'Hara and Principal Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
Bad
I meant the
parents.
ghost parents.
No, I'm not talking about the ghost parents. I'm talking about
Oh,
the actual.
no, yeah. No. They're terrible parents.
Yeah,
Absolutely both self-interested characters, right? Like,
right. So you're saying that they made the decision to step back from their child's life is a good thing.
yeah,
I don't know if that's a good thing. They have
but
not made good decisions about her the whole movie.
but but they left her in someone else's care who is going to make good decisions for them.
Someone who's dead, yeah.
That footnote, like,
I also like that there's this whole big point made in the early part of the movie where it's like the living cannot find out about the afterlife. That would be terrible.
right?
And the end of the film's like, just coexist. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is no consistency to this film at all.
no, I don't know.
No. Anyway, yeah, it's a vibe, that's for sure. It is a Tim Burton movie. You can say that much.
You certainly can. Are you gonna go see Beetlejuice?
I don't think so.
No, me neither.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think the whole conceit of this was if you have an attachment to original Beetlejuice, then you are the target audience for Beetlejuice. And, like, I don't have an attachment to original Beetlejuice.
Strange that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, how common is this in movies that it's just a vibe?
Gotta be reasonably common.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, I guess you could
Dune?
maybe argue that that Dune is a vibe, that maybe the Star Wars prequel or sequel movies are vibes.
maybe, yeah. Aki's willing to
Where
pay for us to go see it. Apparently, she really likes Beetlejuice.
Oh, interesting. Do you like the? I mean, you like the first one?
I'm assuming so. Does Tim Burton, not Tim Burton, Michael Keaton try to marry
Winona
Wednesday?
Ryder again?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, or her daughter Wednesday. Like, because
Well,
she's in there. She's the new teen character in the movie.
yeah, but she's not Wednesday.
No, but I say Wednesday and you know who the actress is. I don't know her name.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega.
That's
Yeah,
it. Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah. Jenna Ortega's in there because she's basically the reincarnation of Winona Ryder. She is a lot of what Winona was in the 80s.
Fair enough.
So they're like passing the torch.
I suppose.
Another interesting Winona Ryder movie from the 80s is Heathers. Have you seen that one?
Which one? You cut out.
Heathers?
No, never heard of it.
So it's a high school movie. Christian Slater's in it, like young Christian Slater's in this.
Okay.
And it is this dark comedy. Which I saw because one of my aunts was like, "You should watch Heathers," and I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "This is weird, man."
Yeah, it
The
looks
80s
weird.
had some crazy stuff in it.
Yeah. What's Christian Slater been in recently? Or at all? Interview with a Vampire? I haven't seen any of these movies. Oh, I've seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, apparently. Once Upon a Time. Feels like a movie I've seen.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of Robin Hood movies. There's too many.
There are a lot of Robin Hood movies.
Men in Tights, that's all you need.
Probably.
Have you seen it?
Again, I think parts of it 25 years ago.
You should watch it. It's really good. I watched it.
Should.
I watched it like a month ago. It holds up. Yeah. Oh my god, this guy's been in so many movies.
It's on Disney Plus. Why the hell is it on Disney Plus? Is it a Fox movie?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a Fox movie.
I know. We'll fox them. And then they go to 16th century Fox, and they put a little message in a fox, and it runs to get the the merry men.
All right, I'll watch Men in Tights.
Excellent.
That's funny.
Cool.
Oh yeah, Carrie Ooze. How do you say his last name is in this?
Carrie.
The Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride.
I haven't seen The Princess Bride.
Carrie Elwes. I don't know how to say his last name.
Let me get it in writing in front of me.
And it's a Mel Brooks movie. Mel Brooks is
Carrie
great.
Eels?
Yeah, see,
Eels?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, when he was given the script for this and was offered it, he laughed thinking Mel Brooks was joking. Like he was pulling a prank on him.
I mean, it's a Mel Brooks script. Like, what did he expect it to be?
I don't know. Maybe he hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, he's new. He's new to the Mel Brooks experience. Maybe so.
Maybe.
Anyway, cool. All right. Beetlejuice, meh.
Meh.
Fine. Fine, I guess. A vibe. And if you're not into the vibe, it's probably not for you.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a whole lot to say on it other than that.
Okay, rad. All right. We got some Warhammer to talk about, too.
Oh, God, we have to talk about this book.
Why are all of these books towards the end of the Heresy like, crap, we have to explain this one thing and how it got to where it is? 400 pages of doing that.
Look, I tried to skip these books. I told you.
I know. Look, you could have told me that Vulcan is not actually in this book. And I would have been like, all right, we can skip it then, I guess.
He is in this book.
He is not in this book.
He has a line. He talks.
Want to get pedantic with me, fine. But he is not in this book. Vulcan doesn't do anything.
He's physically present. He has he has a heartbeat, maybe.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just your imagination.
Look, truthfully, I did not know when. Like, we talked about this on StarCraft stream, and you made a joke that was like, oh, he's like, you made an estimation. I would say like, oh, Vulcan's not in for like 60% of this. And I'm like, well, I'm a little bit ahead of you. Maybe like 75 is closer to the truth. I didn't know he wasn't in 99.99999%. That the book would literally end with the lines, "My sons," said Vulcan, right? Like, or
There is a moment where a shard of Magnus pretends to be Vulcan and does more than Vulcan does in this book.
right. Well, Vulcan's dead, and it should take an entire journey to revive him. Like, clearly, you can't just make it be nothing. That would be so cheap.
It doesn't have to be nothing. Maybe the first half of the book we condense down, we end up back home, we dump him in the volcano, he's back, and then the second half of the book we're doing shit with Vulcan. It's not hard.
I wonder if Nick Kyme wrote this book and the next one as like one big book, and then it was like, okay, where do we split it? You know, we can get 2 books out of this.
Probably. We can sell more books this way.
Maybe. But also, they just don't want one random 800-page book on a shelf filled with 300 to 400-page books.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked the first part of the book, but I couldn't help but think of how I would do it differently.
Yeah.
Like, Gulliman wants the salamanders to stay because, like, he can use them as, like, propaganda for, like, a symbol of unity for Imperium Secundus. That's great.
Right. Yep.
The lion, for whatever reason, is interested in this guy's opinion on that, and is like talking to him about it. But the lion's never given a shit about anyone's opinion, so why he's asking this random salamander doesn't feel natural to me.
It doesn't feel natural. Plus, the salamander has no idea what the lion is on about because he's the lion.
Right.
So, like, what's the point of those whole scenes anyway?
Right.
It's like, oh, the lion's inscrutable. I'm like, yeah, we know. He's always inscrutable.
So, yes. I feel like what Nick Kyme should have done, and I'm going to put on my author's hat and be like, I know better than you, which is clearly not true. But they should have, instead of presenting the book as like, here's a couple of salamanders and their supreme faith that they have the right as Vulcan's son to take his corpse, right? Put opposed to that, Gulliman, Sanguinius, and the lion being like, no, he's our brother. We have the greater claim to his body staying in state here. Make that the reason why they want to leave and the tension there. Then have the lion use T'Cholka, which can teleport anything anywhere in and out of the warp and to ships, right? Move Vulcan's corpse. So the corpse goes missing instead of it randomly maybe getting teleported away. Because then the Vulcan can use that to see if Gulliman will use that as leverage to the salamanders to keep them to stay, to give Imperium Secundus legitimacy. Because that's what the lion's doing in the other books there. He's like, I don't really like this second Imperium that you're doing here. I think this is maybe heresy. So make it some political tension with the lion teasing Gulliman into being maybe more honest, seeing if he will let them go if they get their corpse. I think that would have been much more interesting than just like blind faith that Vulcan will live.
Right. If we get him home, he will live. Through the ruin storm.
Yeah. Cause
I'm on board.
Yeah. I don't know. The rest of the book just breezes by where it's like, okay, we need to go to a place called Rampart. Why? There's maybe some traders there. But it's like, well, we've kind of got an important package. Shouldn't we just like keep going? It's like, no, there could be people there. We have to try and save them, and we have to kill the traders. Do we though? Did we have to do that? Did we have to stop and pick up Hecht? And
yes, because Hecht has plot bearing on the rest of the story somehow.
Yeah.
In ways I don't think I'm still very clear on.
No. And like the rest of the movie is just like traders betraying each other And the word
Yeah.
bearers having a goofy plot where they think they're like 3 ships can conquer a Legion homeworld. It's
Yeah.
none of it's very good. None of it's compelling.
No. I mean, in fairness, they make the good point that most of the salamanders died at Isfin.
That is true. Yeah.
So attacking the salamander's homeworld is not as scary as it used to be. And then it's not. It's totally fine until they disturb the lava monsters that live on the planet.
Yeah.
Right? It's not for lava monster interference. They probably win.
Probably. Maybe. Yeah.
Also, do we not have scouting information on this? Like, I don't know. I just feel like an entire legion having no idea that there are lava monsters on the salamander's home planet, and you got to tread carefully if you're going to land on it.
So, I mean, I guess Legion homeworlds are kind of like a Legion secret. It would be very rude for you to
Yeah.
land alone and do a whole bunch of shit on another Legion's homeworld. So I guess those are kind of private. Like when Sanguinius got found, he made the deal with the Emperor that it's like, I will join your Great Crusade. I'll be your son. I'll do anything you want, but you're gonna leave Baal the way it was, right? Like you can't.
Yeah. But I mean, there are stories, right? Everybody
Sure.
has stories of
There
like
has to be stories.
the Primarch's homeworld.
There has to be, yeah.
And like no one like they keep this whole thing about there are lava monsters on this planet. Cause like Caliban's got monsters and like that's general knowledge, right?
Yeah, it has.
I don't know.
It has. It's a death world, right?
Yeah.
But like all of the monsters of note, the Lion killed all of them right before the Emperor showed up.
Right. The timing was impeccable.
Yeah. The rest of them are just like, wow, that's a big dog, you know?
Yeah,
Or
but then they
an
start
angry
coming
butterfly.
back, right?
No, I don't think so.
I thought the beasts start coming back because of the Ouroboros wrapped around the center of the planet.
No, he just starts, like, the Ouroboros starts talking to Luther. Luther, like, he makes them into monsters instead. Yeah.
Fair.
They have some, like,
Anyway.
creepy worm things, but they're described as being a very natural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just very Deus Ex Machina, especially from my perspective, who did not know there were lava monsters here.
I didn't
Because
know.
like it totally gets set up. You didn't know either. See, so they totally set this thing up where it's like, oh no, the Death Guard is here, and the Word Bearers, and there's way more of them, and there's this smaller group of salamanders, and they're gonna get overrun, and they're using virus bombs on them, which is like, holy shit, guys, calm down. And like that's it. They have all these tanks, and they're gonna win, and then it's like, and then lava monsters. You were too loud with your footsteps, and they all die. It's like, oh, well, that was nice, huh?
Yeah.
Like, do these lava monsters exist? Are there stories of earlier salamander things that happen? And it's like, before the Primarch came, we had to fight these fire monsters all the time. Because they refer to that in the book. It's like, let's go out there and finish off the Death Guard. And he's like, well, there's still fire monsters out there, and I've killed a lot of their friends. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. When did that happen? The book's like, we're not going to tell you anything about that.
No. That is probably just them slipping in some like, oh, the salamanders on their homeworld did this thing. They're not going to tell you that now.
Okay, so there are no books of like the salamander home world before the Emperor showed up.
I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. There's probably so each of the Primarchs have their own book called, like, I think it's literally just called the Primarchs series, right? And I'm assuming there's one of Vulcan on his homeworld fighting fire monsters, you know?
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, yeah, that's the story of a lot of the Primarchs.
So, I don't know. Something you said reminded me of this. And I don't know why, but there's a bit in the book where the salamanders are like, oh, we would never use destroyer squads in our armies. They're so antithetical to life and how we want to live, right? Bearing in mind, all the salamanders have flamethrowers, the most humane of all weapons.
They burn alive so many people in this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
They burn alive each other. Like,
That's true. By accident. But still.
and yeah, but basically they're like, oh, destroyers run around and they use like white phosphorus and
Yeah.
radiation and all this stuff. Like and
Virus bombs are evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you like to know on the tabletop what the loadout of your standard destroyer squad is?
Flamethrower?
No, no.
Oh.
That would be too on the nose. But it is a chainsword or a combat blade, right?
Yo.
Frag grenades, crack grenades. Now they do have radiation grenades, so that's kind of scary.
Melta rifle.
Nope. 2 bolt pistols.
2 bolt pistols. Why are we so mad at these guys?
Exactly. Apparently, they're the keepers of all the secret, super dangerous weapons like the Life Eater virus, and the Salamanders would never deign to have Space Marines equipped with 2 bolt pistols.
Right. I don't know. You told me this, I think during the StarCraft stream or something, but like the way that they write the salamanders in this book is just how they are in 40K. Like,
Yes, yes.
so nobody really gave 2 shits about the salamanders in the 30K universe. And towards the end of the Heresy, they're like, ah, crap, we need some salamander stuff in here. And then they're like, ah, just use the 40K stuff, it'll be fine.
Maybe. I think it's probably more of an issue that the guy that they asked to do it, or the guy who got left to do it maybe, is Nick
Yeah.
Kyme, who wrote them in 40K. So he's just writing them how he knows them.
So they're like, you know salamander stuff, write this book in the Horus Heresy. And he's like, okay.
And so he just wrote more Salamander stuff rather than taking what he knew and was like, how did they become that? Because, like,
Yeah.
the Dark Angels
Yeah.
are the same, where the Dark Angel, everything in the Dark Angels book is being like, oh, and you know how the Dark Angels do this in 40K? This is why. It was a Calibanite tradition. And this is just like, no, they're still doing it. That's the difference. It's not, this is where that tradition started for the Salamanders. They were always doing it. They were always like, renewal and fire, that's always been a thing. Yep, they didn't learn that from Vulcan's death and renewal and Deathfire. That's always been a thing. The Promethean Creed, always been a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's annoying. Anywho, I also enjoyed. Did I get Death Guard mixed up with the Night Lords? Are Night Lords in this book?
No, Night Lords are not in this book.
No Night Lords. Okay.
Just Death Guard, I think. And,
Just the Death Guard.
And the Word Bearers.
Yeah, and a bunch of Word Bearers. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a point where like they're fighting some Chaos Legion and they, ripping their helmets off and like, man, you guys are sickly. And I'm like, that sounds like Night Lord behavior, being sickly and pale. And it's like, oh no.
No, he means sickly and diseased, as in like Nurgle's children. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
So, do we want to try to untangle what happened with Ketch?
Hecht.
Yeah. Hecht?
What's his name? Hecht. Caspian Hecht.
Yeah.
What the heck happened to this guy? So here's the thing. I couldn't figure it out myself, so I looked at the wiki.
Okay, good. Someone had to.
Okay, so in the last book where John Grammaticus is there and he's got the Fulgurite, and they're like, give it to Conraz, he can kill Vulcan with it. And he's like, no, but if I stab Vulcan with it, I don't know. I don't remember that. That was a whole... That book was vibes as well. There was a word bearer who like also infiltrated Macragge, and he's like, I'm here to kill Lorgar. Like, that's my plan. I want to kill Lorgar because we should be worshipping the Emperor.
Right.
That's this guy.
Okay.
He gets kidnapped. Not kidnapped. Like, taken prisoner by the Ultramarines head psycho, whose name I can't remember.
Sure.
Because I can remember the name of the 40K head psycho. It's Tiggy, but I don't remember his name in Ushaman? Maybe. No, that's Salamanders. Ultramarines. Titus Praetor.
Yeah,
right?
Titus. There you go.
And so basically, Titus and somebody, presumably a throne agent or Malkadorian knight errant, smuggle him off world and back to Terra, maybe, or at least give him some armor and
From where?
smuggle him. Where did they get the armor?
No.
They
To
smuggle him
Terra. From where?
McCrag.
Ruinstorm.
Then maybe they didn't go to Terra. Maybe they shipped they got the armor from somewhere else. Like, I don't know. They probably didn't. They don't say that.
Because that threw me too.
It's like, how
It's
did he
like
get here?
He's cosplaying as an agent, as a Grey Knight of a Knight Errant.
And he's
But
like,
there's no way he got back to Terra. How did we pull this off?
yeah. So okay, congratulations. You figured out the way to see through his ruse. That is correct.
Yeah.
Basically, somebody, presumably another like agent of Malkador, like a psycho, and it says it just here. An agent of Malkador and a powerful psycho who attempted to overwrite Narek's mind. And so
Yeah.
they like tried to mind scrub him and turn him into a loyal agent.
So
But
did they copy someone else's brain and put it on top of Narek's brain?
I don't think so. It doesn't say. It just
So
says,
they just come up with an identity whole cloth.
hold on. No. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So here's why I got confused. I clicked on Caspian Hecht, right, and it loads Barthuza Narek's wiki page because that's who he is. But this sentence reads: after a period of imprisonment, Narek was secretly rescued and smuggled off McCrag by Caspian Hecht.
Yeah, see?
An agent of Malkador and a powerful psycho who attempted to overwrite Narek's mind.
So he copies his own
mind
brain on top of this dude's brain and says, "You're me now."
Yes.
And they give him a false face that looks like Hecht.
Yes. And remember, he wakes up in
That's
like a
crazy.
coffin with a guy?
Yep, I have no idea what that has to do with anything.
That's probably Hecht.
He's in a coffin with Hecht?
And Hecht dies. That's why. That's why he has to, like...
Why does Hecht die?
I don't know. Maybe he was dying and he implanted his mind into Narek's. Like, none of it makes sense. I don't like this guy.
I know! What is this storyline? Why is it in here? What bearing does it have on anything? It doesn't. It has no bearing on anything. Nothing happens with this dude. He's around. He kills some word bearers. He has an identity crisis.
And
some word bearer hunter wants him dead because he's betrayed the word bearers and Lorgar and stuff. And but
when the salamanders find out about him, he fights them as well.
Yes, right. And he escapes, right? He's out.
He escapes, yes.
Except the ship he's on gets blown up.
No, he's alive.
Where is he?
He's on Nocturne.
How does he get on Nocturne?
Don't know.
Is he written to be on Nocturne?
The wiki says he's on Nocturne.
Okay, in this book, he does not make it to Nocturne. So he, from being on the ship that's going to blow up, gets off ship and to Nocturne without us seeing him do it.
Narek, aided by the salamanders during their perilous voyage, was discovered once his true identity resurfaced, forcing him to fight both former allies and the word bearers sent to hunt him before escaping to the surface of Nocturne.
Great. That doesn't happen in this book.
Maybe you just missed it.
You missed it too, then.
Shut up! Who to say?
Did you finish this book?
I did, yeah. I finished it this morning. Oh god, it was such a slog.
No, it's not in there. The last time we see Hecht, he shoots a word bearer who's come to hunt him down on the salamander ship. And then he could have killed one of the salamanders who's hunting him, but chooses not to, and disappears into the darkness of the ship. Yes. And that's the last time we see him.
He made it to a savior pod. It's fine.
Fine. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, give us a little hint. That's what he did.
So this feels like a book where we just need to get Vulcan off McCrag because we know he's not on McCrag.
Yeah.
And in this, they've put in a little side character where we just need to get him off McCrag as well because we know he's not on McCrag.
Yeah.
And that's this guy. Except I've read what he does in like the next book, and yeah, I don't think it's particularly compelling. Like I don't think he's needed in there either.
And then, okay, and so then we have the whole thing where we lower Vulcan's probably maybe not dead body into the volcanoes of Nocturne, into the special fires of Nocturne.
Yes, into the
Wait 9 days. He doesn't resurrect. He doesn't come back. Everyone's sad about it. Numenon, this captain of the Salamanders, walks to the Deathfire place and gets himself sealed inside the mountain. And then the book calls this a sacrifice. And then Vulcan ends up on the plains of Nocturne in fetal position, alive.
Sure.
Right?
Yep. Horus had to wait 9 days in the Serpent Lodge. Vulcan had to do it in a volcano.
Right, but Horus gets rezzed through heretical stuff and warp fuckery. What the heck is going on with Vulcan? Why does he need a blood sacrifice to come back? Why is the fire not enough? Why does he come back at all? Like, he's...
So Numa.
Yeah. Numa. Good.
Numa. Yep.
Yep.
God, I just have Numa stuck in my head now. Now you're he, Vulcan lives. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, there's this whole thing where it's like Vulcan is immortal. You can kill him, but he'll come back. Oh no, he got stabbed with some fulgurite, and now he's really dead. And then it's like, well, actually, if you take him and drop him in the fires on Nocturne and sacrifice the salamander captain, he comes back to life. What the hell are the rules? What is happening right now?
So, okay.
I really enjoyed Vulcan when he couldn't die.
When you
would kill him and he would come back every time, and the time between resurrections got shorter. I was like, that's interesting. Let's keep doing this. And then they're like, nope, now it's fire and blood sacrifice magic.
And here's what I absolutely hate about all of that as well, which is Grammaticus, his entire moment of choice in that book that he was in was like, okay, if I give the fulgurite to Conrad, he'll kill Vulcan stone dead, right? Because a Primarch can do that if you give him the Falconite, the fulgurite.
Fulgurite, yeah.
Yeah. Instead, he goes, okay, I'm going to stab Vulcan myself. Because that'll somehow make him more powerful.
Right.
It just kills him stone dead and leaves the thing stuck in his body and takes Grammaticus's perpetuality off him.
Right. So how the hell does taking Grammaticus's perpetuality away from him and transferring it into Vulcan extra kill Vulcan? This doesn't make any sense at all. I don't get it.
I don't know. So
does Vulcan survive to 40k? Because if he doesn't, I don't think I'm going to care anymore about Vulcan. Like, you were fun. I don't know what they did with you towards the end of the story here, but bye.
So maybe.
Okay. Look, in the sense that they're kind of slowly bringing back the Primarchs in 40k, maybe Vulcan's on that list, is what you're saying?
In the sense that they're slowly bringing back Primarchs, Vulcan would be on the short list.
Okay, got it. So the answer is no, but maybe later.
I mean, if you ask, does he survive the Heresy? The answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Even Numeon gets asked the question at the very near the end of the book, which before they throw the body in the fire, right? Like it's the One Ring or whatever. He's like, and
Right.
another one of the Salamander asks him. He's like, if we get him to Deathfire and it doesn't bring him back to life, what'll you do then? And he's like, I don't understand the question, and she gets angry. It's like, how do you not understand that question? Like,
Yeah.
oh.
He's so stoically, single-mindedly focused on Vulcan will come back to life if we dump him in the fires of Mount Doom that he refuses to consider any other possible outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
then when it doesn't happen, he gets all sad and gets eaten by a mountain and then brings back Vulcan. Nice job, guy.
so another reason why this book is written just like the 40k Salamanders is this Vulcan's dead. He's like missing dead. Like they're like I don't know. I haven't read The War of the Beast, which is where this happens, but essentially there's an orc that might have been one of the predecessors to an orc called a Krork. So think of a smart orc.
A proto-orc.
A proto-orc. Think of an orc, but wearing functional power armor designed for it.
Does he still have the belief powers that orcs have?
Unknown.
Or is he an orc of science?
He's an orc of science.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He leads the greatest orc warband basically ever since Eleanor, and almost conquers the Imperium.
When does this happen?
I think it's about 1,000 or so years after the Horus Heresy, right? Like it's a while.
Yeah.
To the point where they have like orc war moons that they like fly around like Death Stars, but without the giant single cannon, right? They're just
classic orcs. Yeah,
artificial moons. They are so powerful. They get to Terra and are like, okay, we'll send orc emissaries to the high lords of Terra. Like, so
Dorn like, what the hell is an orc emissary?
Kind of what it's like. I haven't read these books, but it's kind of what it's like.
This honestly sounds hilarious. Okay.
So Vulcan goes and like fights them because obviously, and in the reactor core it explodes. He gets vaporized.
Sure.
He might be dead. People assume he's dead. He was vaporized. Obviously, that's the normal thing that happened. But he's immortal.
And he's specifically been vaporized a lot of times. And come back from vaporization more than once. So
the Salamanders are desperately running around in 40k screaming, Vulcan lives at everything.
Lives.
Okay. And are trying to gather the like 8 talismans of Vulcan, like certain relics that he built apparently that hold the key to his immortality and will resurrect him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not, and I don't like that very much. So this is the last 19,000. No, 9,000. I can't do maths. Many thousands of years. Vulcan's been dead by the time 40k comes around. Okay.
Yeah.
And like they're still on this mission to gather the 8 talismans of Vulcan.
If you knew you could resurrect your dad, would you ever stop trying?
I'm just saying they kind of suck at it. Like it's taken them a really, really long time.
Well, the problem is these things were hidden, I guess, and I think Trazen the Infinite has one. Like he's like, ooh, shiny relic.
Okay, I can buy that. I can totally buy that Trazen has one.
Yeah, so
okay, so that's tough.
It's getting them is tricky. They have a couple of these things, like, so I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so he's just on the bench, and when the Warhammer Riders decide to bring back another Primarch, he might get called up.
He might get called up.
Yeah. I prefer a Vulcan who's just immortal. Like, just have him be what he is all the way through, and then he gets vaporized by a reactor, and it's like, well, he's always come back before. Like, why did we have to introduce this instance where he's dead until he gets dropped in the fires of Mount Doom and there's a blood sacrifice? Like, that just screws up the whole thing.
Yeah, like...
Whatever.
Again, I tried to skip these books.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, Vulcan is alive now. Do we move on to the next book, Old Earth? Also written by Nick Kyme.
If it's just the story of how they get back to Terra, then no.
Um, Let me read you the cover description on the
All
wiki.
right.
Reborn in his body and spirit beneath Mount Deathfire. Ooh, maybe all of this was fixing his spirit, because when he was coming back on McCrag, he was crazy.
He was
That
super crazy, yeah.
that is why sacrificing one of your sons fixes your mind.
Look, again, this is fine if dropping him in the fires brings him back, but he's crazy until Numenon sacrifices himself and then his spirit comes back. Right?
Yep.
Do that,
Sure.
and I feel better about it.
Alright.
Anywho, sure.
The Primarch
He back.
Vulcan.
He's not crazy anymore.
The Primarch Vulcan gathers his most trusted sons and prepares for the final part of his journey. The legions shattered at Istvan 5 have stalled the Warmaster's advance across the galaxy, but fresh cracks are spreading through the alliance between the Iron Hand, Salamanders, and the Raven Guard, along with mysterious rumors of the return of Ferrus Manus. Haunted by a sense of destiny unfulfilled, Vulcan must choose between joining the war for vengeance against the traitors or following his barely understood path all the way to the throne world itself.
Nope.
Okay. But you're not. Okay, no, that's fine. Like, look, I'm happy to skip this book. I will read it in my own time eventually, but like, I'm not keen to read it.
No, not that one.
So here's what I will tell you: he makes it to Terra.
Right.
There you go. That's.
I did kind of like the part of the book where they get busted out of the warp and they're like, holy shit, we're like 4 weeks from Terra.
Oh yeah.
It's like, should we go to Terra? Should we go home? And it's like, let's go home. Like, I thought that was interesting. They had an interesting choice to make there.
Yeah, it is. And I think
Yeah.
if we had my changes where they were initially faced with the choice of like, well, he's our dad, we want to give him his own burial rights, and Sanguinius was like, well, he's our brother, we want to keep him ourselves, would also hold a lot more weight when they're like, Dawn's, 4 weeks away, being like, all loyal sons must come to Terra, and like, well, should we take Vulcan to his dad?
Right. Right.
But no, they don't even consider that.
No.
They're just like, he's ours, we want to throw him in a mountain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, that leaves us with the decision for what we read next. If it's not Old Earth, we have 1, 2, 3 books before the Heresy, and again,
Before the Heresy.
well, before the Siege, excuse me.
Ah, the Siege of Terra. Got it.
Provided we don't go back and read The Damnation of Pythos or Battle for the Abyss, which also got a reference in this book, where they fly through a giant ship. They fly through like the remains of a giant ship, and it's like, wow, this thing would have been even bigger than a Gloriana class.
That's right. Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Yeah, so we could go all the way back to the start. I'm going to remind us that Talon exists and apparently is very good as an anthology. But if we want to move on just down towards Terra, the next book is Titan Death at Beta Garmin.
What's the anthology?
Talon? Talon. Tallarn. Book 45 by John French. Wait, hold on. Is it
It's
just
an anthology, right?
let me have a look at the flowchart, because it definitely lists Talon Executioner, Talon Ironclad, and Talon Siren as all as book 45. So there might be an anthology by the same person, because this says book 45 is just by John French. It's narrated by different people, but
Okay. That's interesting.
it might all be written by the one person. Yeah, John French. I'm not gonna lie to you and say this is going to move the plot on in any way. It's going to be a bit of a sideward step for us, but I hear it
Yeah.
is very good.
Okay. That's Iron Warrior stuff.
Uh-huh.
All right, deal.
Cool. Talon.
Once again, I feel like I have to refresh the page before it's like, there it is. Use your reward points for this.
They want
Why
to
do
trick
you
you into
do
not
that?
using them. Because if you don't
I
use
know. Just hoard them. Hoard
Yeah.
your Amazon rewards points.
them, yeah, hoard them.
This time it did tell me to use my $3 reward from buying all these books.
Oh.
So $3 off, it's only $6.99.
Hey, Coraline is still in cinema for the 15th anniversary.
Ooh.
It's at 6:45 p.m. It's a little late for me.
Hmm.
Instead, I'm going to go see The Crow, which is getting reviews.
Oh no. It is getting reviews. It is getting reviews.
Uh,
Ugh.
uh,
All right, good. That's
Cool.
it.
Cool. Wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
Talon it is.
Yay, Talon.
All right. So thanks everyone for hanging out for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour here at twitch.tv/Somicron every Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are in the hemispheres. The VODs are available at youtube.com/Somicron too. If you want to check those out, you can support the podcast at patreon.com/Somicron and by buying merch at falconpaladin.store. So again, thanks for hanging out with us as we talk about movies and nerdy stuff like Beetlejuice and Warhammer and computer things. And we'll be back next week with more of the same. So until then, stay safe and stay healthy. And above all, you take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Bye.